Genghis Khan, Rise of the Eternal Blue Sky. Introduction. The birth of a legend in the vast, windswept lands of the Eurasian steppe, where icy winds race across endless grasslands and ancient tribes fight for survival. A child was born who would alter the course of world history. His name was Temujin. Centuries later, the world would remember him by another name, Genghis Khan. Most accounts place his birth around the year 1162, near the sacred Birken Kaldon mountain in what is now northeastern Mongolia. He was born into the Borjigin clan, the eldest son of Holun and the Mongol chieftain Yasuji. Yet this infant, destined to forge the largest contiguous empire the world has ever seen, entered life amid hardship, political turmoil, and unending tribal conflict. Chapter 1. Childhood on the steppe. Temujin grew up in a world shaped by brutal winters, nomadic warfare, and alliances sealed by blood. From a young age, he mastered the arts essential to survival: horsemanship, archery, hunting, and the complex code of honor that ruled steppe society. His closest childhood companion was a boy named Jamuka, who would one day become his greatest rival. Together, they formed a blood brotherhood, swearing loyalty, never knowing that destiny would pull them apart. Tragedy struck when Temujin's father, Yasuji, was poisoned by a rival tribe. With his death, the family was abandoned by their clan and reduced to poverty. Temujin and his siblings survived by hunting small animals and fishing in frozen rivers, while Holun fought desperately to keep her children alive. But hardship forged strength. It shaped Temujin into a leader who understood loyalty, discipline, and the cruelty of betrayal. Chapter 2. Captivity, Escape, and First Victories. As a teenager, Temujin's growing reputation made rivals uneasy. He was eventually captured by the Taykiat clan and forced to wear a heavy wooden restraint around his neck. But he refused to bow. In a dramatic escape, helped by a sympathetic member of the tribe, Temujin fled into the night. By his mid-teens, he had gathered a small but fiercely loyal band of warriors, including Boarshu and Barokal, men who would remain by his side for decades. This was the humble beginning of an army that would shake the foundations of nations. Chapter 3. Love, Loss, and the First Great Battle. When he was around 16, Temujin married his betrothed, Borte, from the Angjarat tribe. Their union brought both love and political opportunity. Yet soon after, a devastating Merkit raid abducted Borte. Temujin did not hesitate. He sought help from Togrul, the Karait Khan and sworn brother of Temujin's father. Together with Jamuka, they launched a powerful campaign against the Merkits. Borte was rescued, though she was pregnant, by her captor. Temujin accepted the child, Joki, as his own, a decision that later ignited bitter conflict among his sons. This victory marked the beginning of Temujin's rise, and the beginning of the rift between him and Jamuka. Chapter 4. The Civil War of the Steppe. By the 1180s, Temujin and Jamuka both sought to unite the Mongol tribes. Jamuka relied on traditional aristocrats. Temujin drew strength from commoners, talented warriors, and outcasts who saw in him a new kind of leader. Battles raged across the steppe. Temujin suffered defeat at Dalan Bal's hut, and for years he wandered in exile. Yet he never stopped gathering followers. By the late 1190s, Temujin had regained power, built disciplined units, and forged alliances. He crushed the Tatars, humiliated the Merkits, and rose step by step as a formidable warlord. In 1204, after a decisive campaign against the Naimans, he emerged as the unchallenged leader of the Mongol heartland. Jamuka, betrayed by his own men and captured, was brought before Temujin. Temujin executed the traitors, for he valued loyalty above all else. Jamuka himself requested an honorable death, and Temujin granted it. The era of tribal division was over. Chapter 5 The Birth of the Mongol Empire in 1206. At a grand assembly known as the Kuriltai, Temujin was granted a new title, Genghis Khan, often translated as Universal Ruler. With this, the Mongol Empire was born. Genghis Khan abolished old clan loyalties and replaced them with a new order based on merit and loyalty. He introduced the decimal system of military organization, units of tens, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s, ensuring tight discipline and seamless maneuverability. He created a bodyguard of elite warriors, the Kashig, and established the Great Yasa, a legal code that emphasized discipline, loyalty, and obedience. Now united at last, the Mongols were eager for conquest. Chapter 6 War with the Tanguts and Jin Dynasty. Genghis Khan's first major campaign was against the Tangut Kingdom of Western Xia. After quick victories, the Tanguts submitted. But the real prize lay beyond them, the wealthy Jin Empire of northern China. In 1211, Genghis Khan launched a massive invasion. His generals Jib, Subutai, Mukhali, and his own sons executed brilliant strategies. Feigned retreats, rapid cavalry charges, psychological warfare, and strict discipline brought the Jin to their knees. Cities that resisted were crushed. Those that submitted were spared. Beijing fell in 1215 after a horrific siege, its population decimated. Chapter 7 The Great Western Campaign. While fighting in China, Genghis Khan's interests shifted westward. Conflicts in Central Asia drew him toward the Khwarezmian Empire, ruled by Shah Muhammad II. Genghis sent a trade caravan in good faith. The Shah murdered the envoys. The Great Khan vowed revenge. In 1219, the Mongols unleashed one of the most devastating campaigns in world history. Cities such as Bokhara, Samarkand, Otrar, Merv, Nishapur, and Khiva were besieged and destroyed.
Millions périssaient.
The empire of Khwarezm collapsed in a whirlwind of destruction. Meanwhile, Subutai and Jib led a legendary expedition across the Caucasus and into the Kievan Rus, defeating a massive coalition at the Battle of the Kalka River. The Mongol frontier had now touched Europe. Chapter 8 Final Years and Death of the Great Khan. In 1226, Genghis Khan returned east for one final campaign against the Tanguts, who had betrayed him during the Khwarezm War. Despite age and illness, he pressed forward relentlessly. His armies encircled the Tangut capital. But the Great Khan's health deteriorated. After falling from his horse during the campaign, he weakened rapidly. On August 25, 1227, Genghis Khan died, likely aged around 65. His burial site remains unknown, hidden somewhere in the vastness of Mongolia. Epilogue, Legacy of the Eternal Blue Sky. After his death, his empire did not crumble. Under his sons and grandsons Ogdi, Monk, and Kublai, the Mongol Empire expanded into Russia, the Middle East, Korea, Southeast Asia, and China itself. By the late 13th century, it became the largest contiguous empire in human history. But the legacy of Genghis Khan remains debated. Was he a visionary statesman, a military genius, and a unifier? Or was he a ruthless conqueror responsible for unimaginable destruction? Whatever the judgment, his impact on world history is undeniable. He reshaped nations, redrew borders, and left behind a legacy of both fear and admiration.